To mark the first anniversary of the Manchester Arena attack, we need to commemorate remembrance, reflection, and the celebration of life, recognising each of the 22 people who lost their lives in the attack, those who were injured physically or mentally, and the first responders who brought Manchester together, embracing solidarity shown not just by the people of the city, but nationally and internationally across the world.
Welcome to your Manchester. What we didn't know was that one of our lovely newsreaders is indeed, and was indeed, a big instigator in making everybody feel better about themselves last year.
That's very nice of you to say, Belinda. I mean, I did a little thing and people have said lots of lovely things about me, but...
A little thing. Perhaps you should explain exactly how little this thing was that you did.
Okay, so last year on the 25th, there was a 2-minute silence and a vigil here at St Anne's Square. And I, at the end of the vigil, after the big round of applause, started singing Don't Look Back in Anger. And everyone started joining in. It was just a couple of people around me at first, and then the sound grew and grew, and then all of a sudden, everyone in the square was singing.
And what made you want to break into that particular song?
So, that song had been in my head anyway, because Chetham's school choir had posted a video a few days before. I'm a big 90s girl, you know that about me. I'm a huge 90s girl, and I was a bit in love with Oasis when I was in my teens. And so that song has always played a part of my life. I've always played it off and on. But on the actual day, I had no intention of going to the vigil. I was just going to stay at home and sort of have some quiet reflection on my own. But then I decided it was probably not a good idea and I should be with some people. So I came down and went to meet my friend, and there was the silence happened, and then there was a big round of applause, and then it went very, very quiet again. And I just started feeling a little bit uneasy, a little bit nervous, because we'd done the silence. And when I'm feeling nervous, or when I'm feeling sad or happy or whatever, or I'm in the shower, I start singing. So that song was in my head, and so it was kind of natural that would be the song that I start singing.
And then tell us about how you just broke into it at the end of the vigil, did you?
Yeah, I just started singing quite quietly. I thought to myself, don't look back in anger, step inside the eye of your mind. And then this lady, who I've later found out is called Jackie, I met her for the first time since then, about a month ago, started singing along with me. And then people just kept starting to sing, and then someone at the back said, "Come on, sing up!" And everybody then started joining in. It was around the first chorus that everyone was, started singing. And it was really unexpected. I never ever thought that people would join in like that, because I really did it just for myself, to make myself feel better. But as it turns out, it made other people feel better as well.
And it did make you feel better then, did it?
It did. It made me feel so much better, because I wasn't nervous anymore. And then the really beautiful thing is, at the end of it, when I stopped singing, and everyone stopped singing, so many people came round just to give me a hug and say thank you. I had messages from all over the world, but the most significant message, other than the flowers that I got from Noel Gallagher, which was quite nice, I got a tweet from a guy who was caught up in the IRA bomb in the 90s, and he, in 96, he said that he had carried the anger of what had happened on that day for 20 years, and my singing helped him let go of that. And that was like, that just blew me away. And it, regardless of anything else that happened, that was the thing that made me feel that I had actually done something special.
It's quite sensational in a way.
I was in the square on the day of the video as well, and I remember just being stood over by the monument. And to actually hear, it was like such one of those sort of moments that just happened. It was spontaneous, but it was beautiful. And I mean, the song itself just became an anthem for the attack. But also, I think the words were so poignant,
Yeah.
so meaningful. I mean, it was a beautiful day, as it is, you know, as it has been again today. But the song, the words, and everyone did. Everyone, I think, you know, there was dignitaries there. There was a lot of senior people there as well on that day, and I think everyone just got it, and it just sort of, it was just so fitting for that moment that if it had been planned, it couldn't have been more fitting for the actual for the vigil.
Yeah, it's the way music gets to people, isn't it? I always find it quite bizarre the way music works for people.
I mean, I used to go to church a lot when I was a kid. I know it's hard to believe now, but I sort of grew up in the church, and I always loved singing as a congregation, because when you sing together, you just feel better. You know, when you're singing, and obviously then it was hymns. You know, I still remember all the hymns that I used to sing when I was a kid, and all the Christmas carols, and it just makes you feel nostalgic and warm and happy. And when everyone sings, you know, songs that everybody knows, I mean, singing together is a tradition that goes back centuries and centuries. You know, round the piano, Hilda Ogden round the piano.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Yeah, yeah.
You know more about that.
I would.
Yeah, you would.
That's me all over.
You know, it's a long tradition of singing together, and it's a very Manchester tradition. You know,
it is, isn't it?
I mean, Coronation Street it was about Manchester and Salford, and the fact that Hilda Ogden sang round the piano as she was leaving, you know, that's a really iconic scene, that, and it says everything that you need to know about Manchester. Whatever the situation, sing a song and have a brew or a beer.
Thank you very much, Lydia.
No problem. It's been lovely talking to you.
Thing is, you've just got so much going on this show.
We do. Now this week, Dan Westwood talks to the owner of GAY, that's Jeremy Joseph.
And I'm glad to see you was chatting with people on the red carpet at Hope Mill Theatre about the play Be More Martin.
And what a fantastic play it was. In fact, let's just go and have a look at that right now. Tonight we are at the Hope Mill Theatre. We're about to check out exactly what everybody's going crazy. Why? For Be More Martin. Let's see if it really is just as phenomenal. And tell me what you expect to see from this play today.
Joy, tears, laughter, and maybe a lot of poignancy, I think, especially considering the date and everything. So,
yes. Where were you when it went off last year?
I had just been doing a rehearsal for our sketch show that we do in Chorlton every year, and I'd gone to the pub by myself for a pint.
Yeah.
That's what I'm like, the way I roll.
It's not like you at all, is it?
And the thing is that I'd had a message about this thing happening, and the thing is, two of my dearest friends were at that, and it was my friend and his daughter, and we were all like, oh my God, there's people I know at it, but we got the message through that they were out and everything was fine. But originally, it was the messages were all very mixed. They said that there was a balloon had gone off and that kind of thing. And then the news started to filter through about what it was, and I was up watching the television for hours. It was absolutely, it was devastating.
Really? So here we are. Now introduce yourselves.
I'm Jenny.
I'm Lee.
I'm Sally.
I love it. Look at we're joined by a plethora of people, everybody. Now, what does this play mean to you then?
Adam is one of my very best friends in the whole wide
his best
world.
Man, best.
I was his best woman.
Best woman.
At his wedding.
You never know these days, do you?
Are you saying that I look
You're taller than me.
So obviously I know Adam, and then obviously I know about the Manchester attacks. And,
yeah. Where were you when it went on?
I was at home. You were in Manchester though,
I was right up the road. I was out in Manchester. I was filming in Manchester. Well, we were having actually a party in Manchester, and we were about 400 yards from when it happened, and we heard it go. We actually heard the noise, and I went, "What was that?" And then I walked back, couldn't get a cab anywhere. But we've got two drama schools, and one of our students was caught up. Freya Lewis was caught up in the explosion, and it was the most horrendous time of our lives. You know, it was just horrendous, and she was so severely injured, and she lost her best friend in it as well. But yeah, I mean, it was a big deal for Manchester, wasn't it? And like tomorrow was going to be again from something that was so horrific. So much good has come out of it, hasn't it? And it bonded everybody massively. And I just felt dead proud of Manchester and you know.
Yeah. Do you have the same thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's the what will last from what happened won't be the fact that it was some idiot thinking whatever he was thinking. It'll be the love and the bond and the spirit of Manchester that's come out of it, as always.
Yeah. So I suppose we have to ask, what does Be More Martin mean to you?
Well, I've seen the kind of first incarnation of this play. I came and kind of introduced it when it was first on. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what this kind of incarnation of it is. But I think it's really stuck with me. The first thing, it has just
stuck with you?
I think probably just like going, yeah, I'm going to do that. I think he seemed like a really amazing person. I thought, oh, I wanted to be his mate.
Yeah.
You know.
He was a nutter.
Yeah, was it?
Bit of a drinker, let's just say that. Okay, so explain who you are to everybody.
So I'm Rachel.
The Rachel.
I am the Rachel, yes. So I was a school friend of Martin's. So I'm portrayed in the play.
By?
Paula Lane.
How does that feel?
Really surreal, really surreal. Everything that we have gone through since last year has been surreal.
Yeah.
Lots of weird and wonderful things as well. And there's so many things that we find ourselves saying, he would love this. And Paula Lane being in a play
quite
about
amazing.
his life is definitely one thing that he would love.
And you were extremely, extremely close from talking to Paula to Martin.
Yeah. So, we went to school together and then just sort of stayed close, you know, all our lives.
And you saw the play last time it was around.
Yeah.
So I've not seen it yet, so what are we expecting to see?
A bit of everything, you know. You'll 1 minute be laughing and then the next minute crying, but it's been good for me. It's given me sort of a focus and something to look forward to in this week that obviously is going to be tough for us all.
So now we're joined by the director of Be More Martin, Mr. Adam Zaid. How are you feeling on your opening night?
I'm fine. It's always a bit nerve-wracking, but it feels like they are ready just to tell the stories now. So it's over to the actors.
Yeah, lovely. So what are we to expect from this play today then?
I think it's something really different than people are expecting. I think people are expecting a very sad memorial, and it isn't. It's a celebration of a remarkable young man. And we are celebrating his life, and we are moving forward with positivity instead of focusing on the horrific thing that happened in Manchester. And that's what Manchester does, isn't it?
It is, but I must imagine that it's probably a strange time to, well, not a strange time, but it must feel weird for you to have this show this particular week.
It does. We thought about it long and hard about it, but I'm absolutely passionate that it's the city's response. We're not going to, you know, sit in a corner. We are going to be out and proud like Martin was. And that's what's really important to me.
Well, now we're going to talk about sports, everybody, and we're out here in St Anne's Square with our lovely Titters. Hello, Titters.
Good evening, Billy.
How are you? This is going to be a lot of fun because I know nothing about sport without Michelle.
Well, this is it, and I've got mine on note paper, so
that's good.
Extremely well.
I will just pretend to know a little bit, maybe.
Right. Well, the hottest ticket last weekend, unless you were down in Windsor with the Windsors, was Manchester.
Yes.
The Manchester game.
Yes.
And on Sunday we had Samo Farah himself winning the 10k race.
That's a running thing, isn't it?
That's a running thing, yeah. Pumps and running the streets, etc. And it's good to have sort of like the world-class athletes all down here and what have you. But Samo Farah, I believe, was down to the last 100 yards and he wasn't quite winning, but the last 100 yards...
He wasn't winning?
No.
But isn't he like an expert?
Well, he is, but he only came third in the London Marathon. He was saving his strength for Manchester, you see. Being the good guy, you see.
I like that, that's good, yes.
And in the wheelchair races, David Weir was the winner. You remember David Weir from...
I actually saw that.
Yeah,
I saw that,
brilliant.
See, I know him a little bit.
And in the women's wheelchair race, there's a lady called Liz McTurnan, who was victorious.
It's a strange name, isn't it?
Well, not if your name's Liz, no.
I suppose.
The sport of the week that I'm choosing is actually pole vaulting. But because
did you do anything on pole vaulting?
I did a little bit of
sometimes to say these things to you, I expect you not to do nothing, and you actually go and do it all, don't you?
Well, I'm very, very lucky because I didn't hear Michelle ask for pole dancing, so I still, otherwise she mentioned pole dancing. I didn't see it until I was watching back.
No, it's understandable.
Anyway, last Friday, in Albert Square, we had pole vaulting as well as long jump. And the pole vault was won by a Frenchman called Stanley Joseph, but we did come second back with a guy called Luke Cuts. Yeah,
Luke who?
Luke Cuts. I think he's from Surrey or somewhere like that.
I'm not sorry.
But then I decided to have a little look into the history of pole vaulting.
Yeah. Oh, there's a history to it.
There's a history to it, yeah.
Surely somebody just wanted to get up a wall.
No. Holland gave us Peter and the Dyke. Norfolk.
Holland gave us what?
Peter and the Dyke.
I know a few of them, yeah.
Norfolk gave us the Broads.
Right.
And Venice.
A few of them as well.
Yeah, gave us gondoliers with punching poles.
No.
Now, what do they have all in common? The common thing? They brought us pole vaulting.
Ah.
Yes, because originally pole vaulting wasn't as high. The sport of pole vaulting wasn't about how high you could get. It was about how much distance you can travel. And it comes from sort of like the Norfolk Broads and the Fens and the lowlands of Holland, where they were trying to cross the water.
I love it when you do stuff like this.
See,
I love it.
It's nonsense, isn't it? I'm full of trivia now.
I know.
And the Venetian gondoliers use their poles to get from the gondola, their hunting pole, back onto dry land.
They walk along it?
No, they put in the water and
spring
hurl themselves across.
Ah.
You see? So that's where we started. It wasn't in its present form. It's now obviously about height. That started about in the 1840s was the first competition for that.
Right.
And the first time in Britain was at the Caledonian Games.
Oh.
And it's been an Olympic sport since the 1896 Olympics in Athens.
Wow.
The bottom line is, we Brits were pretty pants at it, so we need to get a bit of an improvement. But just summing up, really.
Yes.
We really must try harder.
We must try harder. Now, what are we talking about next week then?
Well, what would you like? You choose. You think of something that...
a bit of boxing.
A bit of boxing?
Yeah. Ooh. I don't know if there's much going on. Boxing?
Oh, flipping it, that's...
Boxing or Morris dancing, the choice is yours.
This time of the year, Morris dancing is more chances. But yeah, a bit of boxing, right, I might have to get down to the lads club. Oh dear me.
I'll leave that with you. I've got to run over there now to check out Hayley and the soaps.
Right.
See you later.
See you later.
Ta-ta, chitters.
Ta-ta.
Did a Michelle there.
Hi, I'm Hayley. I'm going to be a bit more serious this week actually, because following on from last week's Mental Health Awareness Week, I want to kind of highlight the excellent work our soaps do with tackling mental health issues. Now obviously Hollyoaks at the moment have the Alfie storyline and they're doing wonderfully well. I know they work very closely with Mind, the mental health charity as well. And last year they won an award for Scott's attempted suicide storyline too. Now also on top of that we have Coronation Street, who've been focusing a lot on male mental health as well. Now we've had the Aiden storyline who took his own life, and we've also had steroid addiction, and we're also looking at the after effects of male rape as well. Now, as we all know, no one is immune from mental health, so please don't sit in silence. Please do speak to people if you need to. And also, please also take time out and listen to those who do need to talk to you as well. Take 5 minutes out of your day, have a cup of tea with someone, talk about things if they're having a bad time. It doesn't take a lot. Now, on a slightly lighter note, Pat Phelan, he's back on Friday. Oh yes, and Gary's going to kidnap him because he wants to take him back to Weatherfield and he wants to make Pat face the consequences. Now, look at the weather. Sorry, I'm off folks. I'll catch you next time. Bye!
Club owner, businessman, LGBT campaigner and regular marathon runner enthusiast. Is there no end to this man's accomplishments? Also, If you've ever had a night out in GAY London, the legendary Astoria or GAY here on Manchester's very own Canal Street, you have a lot to thank this man for. Welcome to Your Manchester Studios, Jeremy Joseph. How are you doing? Welcome.
And Jacob.
And Jacob, of course, he's just jumped in and surprised
How
us.
long he sits here for, I've no idea.
Tell me, how did it all come about? How did you start? A bit of background from you.
A lot of it's really weird because when you're starting a career in anything, the direction you want to go or you plan isn't necessarily the route you go. And I started off by DJing in pubs. I was like one of these talking DJs that chatted in between all the records, annoyed everyone, and just went, oh, just play that next song. You go, oh, I've got something to say.
But you liked it, obviously.
Yeah.
You liked talking.
So I loved. Oh no, I loved it. I couldn't mix. That's why I talked. So,
use your talents.
Yeah,
I get you.
And that's okay. But I got bored of the same things. I wanted to do other things. I got into promoting. Things kind of tailed off, and I did a night for them. We're talking 26 years ago, and it was a Prisoner Cell Block H night, and we brought over the Freak and Queen Bee and all that, and it was huge, and it was so successful. They said, would you come in and help rebuild the night? So I came back and I started running the nights for them, and we just had the Saturdays, and then we reopened the Thursdays, and it kind of building it. But they kind of fell out with the owners of the Astoria, who owned the venue that we were in, which was below the Astoria. Very long, complicated story. And so I was given the ultimatum, either you take it on or you're all out. So at that point we were employing like 40, 50 people, so I decided to take it on. And then I was already running an LGBT radio program called GAY, so I thought, well, I'm kind of known for that, so I'll change it to the club night.
So that's where that came from.
So it all kind of
together.
Yeah, so the radio came first and the club came second.
And you've had some mega acts there, like over the years.
GAY is about loyalty. It's loyalty that you support an artist at the beginning of their career, and then hopefully they'll come back as they get bigger. People like Lady Gaga did their first ever gig at GAY, and she's come back several times, and even just suddenly turned up and suddenly performed without even me knowing.
You moved the venue, or you established your place in Manchester?
Well, the history goes, so GAY Bar was the first venue open, because the Mean Fiddler Group bought the Astoria. So I started building a relationship with them. I wanted to open a bar. I didn't have the money to do it, so I went into partnership with them and opened GAY Bar. Mean Fiddler sold to the Mumma Group and HMV. They had a dead venue, which was GAY Late. They asked me to do that. Then it was Manchester. You just have to walk into a venue and you have to feel it. But there was one time when I went into Spirit. This is before it was available.
Before it was,
And I went down and I got, oh my God, this layout is amazing. And I loved it immediately. And it wasn't available then, but I always said to myself, if Spirit became available, that is where we're going to do it. I think there's something very special about Manchester. And I think there's a real community feel, and it's one of the things I love about Manchester is like, even though if something happens in Manchester, everybody really comes together. And
this year it's just been announced. Can you tell us who we've got this year?
Rita Ora, and she's always wanted to do it, and it's about scheduling it. It's a nightmare. They got offered another huge festival for that weekend, and big money, and they were going so. They said, well, okay, let's stay in the UK. And I go, well, hang on. So you're staying in the UK, but which one are you going to do? Oh, she goes, oh, we're doing Manchester Pride. We're not doing the big offer. I went, I know my dream guest, the band, there's one act that I wanted from Manchester Pride, which it would have been the Spice Girls.
And we're going to brush on now to the marathon. You're a keen runner. I've just entered the ballot this week to do the marathon next year.
Manchester or London?
London.
Okay.
For my sins. I don't know how I'm going to cope, but...
I'll tell you what, if you get in,
it's you.
If you get in, I will do your training program. It's not just about fundraising, but it's also getting a message out there, and it's also about like telling people and learning about why you're doing it.
Just brushing up on charity, you run for Elton John Aid Foundation.
I do. I mean, that was always a really important thing, and it wasn't just about fundraising for the Elton John Aid Foundation. It's about trying to get a message across about safer sex.
Yeah, of course.
It's trying to get a message across about people who need to get tested. Everyone needs to know their status. Doesn't matter what your status is, just know it. We had a goal, which was to hit 500,000. We did that. And if all goes well, we've set up. It's with the Charity Commission at the moment, so hopefully it'll get registered. But we've set up our own charity. But often you don't know what a charity does. If I said to a lot of people, do you know what the Elton John AIDS Foundation does? They've got no idea. They'll just go, it's an AIDS charity. It's not. It's more than that. It's actually they don't actually do anything apart from give grants out.
Right.
So they distribute money around the world. Our thing's going to be different. It's the GAY Foundation, and it's going to be a very grassroots. It's about changing lives, and we're going to be we're going to be doing things to sponsor individuals to change life. It could be, for example, paying for someone's funeral. It could be if someone's on the waiting list, a trans person wanting the operation, and they're on and they want it.
Amazing.
We'll pay for the operation.
Anything like that, housing, if people are struggling.
Yeah, it's going to be down to changing individuals' lives, and you know, and we're going to do one thing at a time.
Thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you for inviting me.
Jeremy Joseph, everyone.
Thank you.
You were there?
Yes, I was there. We weren't meant to be going. It was just a last minute decision, and I kind of asked my other half, Tom, that I wanted to go and see. I was like, oh, is she in town? Yeah, and I said, oh, could you get us some tickets? So it was amazing, and then before you knew it, and she sung her encore song, and everyone was staying, applauding her, and we got up and we were like, okay, we need to get out of here just to beat the rush. So we got up and we walked up the stairs, and people saw us doing it, and then they followed suit. And we got out into the corridor, and we came to a stairwell, and Tom, our other half, was saying, oh, we need to go out the other way. We're going to go through the foyer again to get back to where we need to go to. And I said, well, there's a massive crowd, we'll just go down this stairwell. And as we started to walk down the stairwell, all you could hear was what I thought were cheers and people, because it sounded like she'd come back on. So I was like, oh damn, we've missed her again. And it wasn't until we turned the corner and you could just see a crowd of people just quite frantic, and I didn't know what was going on. And we met some of Martin's friends as well. They found us, they were behind us, and we were all chit-chatting away, being merry, and I was like, oh, something's not right, really. It's like, there was just something in the air that you could just tell that wasn't right. This girl and her two friends, and she was running, like she was in her heels and she was running, and I just grabbed onto Tom's hand, and I just said, oh, something's not right. I want to go home now. I don't want to go into the village to have a drink. I want to go home. So he was like, okay, if you're not feeling comfortable, we'll go home. And then that's when you could hear the little whispers of people saying, oh, something's going on at the arena, da 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 da. And then I was like, no, we're going home, because by this stage I'd seen groups of little girls running around on their phones trying to get a hold of their mum, and then mums trying to get hold of their daughters. And oh God, sorry. And it wasn't until we turned down Market Street, and I just remember seeing this girl and her friend, and she just asked to stop. She was like, I can't feel my leg, and I heard that, so I stopped and I looked, and her friend was like, just don't stop, just keep running. And I just looked at her leg, and there was a massive hole in her leg, and her black jeans were just glistening in the light. We then had to turn into a support system for those people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
how were you able to do that?
You kind of just have to be strong for them. You just find it in you to just go, okay, I get it, I was there, but these people have lost someone, so you need to kind of be a support. You just have to be their rock for that moment in time. You just have to carry on, like you can't let them win. The first few weeks was hard. I found it hard to get on public transport, I found it hard to come into town, to go to work. It was hard because you find yourself feeling unsafe. Mm-hmm. If you weren't there, you probably won't experience what we felt.
As much as we focus on the 22 that sadly didn't make it, those that are living are also living that over and over again, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Now, a lot of people talk about this hashtag that went around, Be More Martin. What is Be More Martin for you?
I think personally, it's just to be yourself, not necessarily to be Martin. I might get some backlash for this, but not to be Martin. I think in saying that you need, like, he wants you to be yourself, express yourself, and, you know, not apologize for it.
I think we should perhaps leave it there. I think you've been incredibly brave talking about it. And I had to get you on camera to talk about this because I knew you were there, and I know there's a lot of people that would be interested in hearing what you've got to say, but you're incredibly brave, and thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, Be More Martin, you were obviously Lord Mayor at that point.
I literally just stood down 3 days earlier, and that was a really tricky sort of situation because with what happened at the arena, I first found out about it through Simon, getting in touch with me and sort of telling me that something had happened. I brought the news to Sir Richard, leader of the council, when it happened, and it was really weird sort of feeling to sort of know that for the past sort of 12 months, you'd sort of been sort of the Lord Mayor, you'd been sort of the first citizen of Manchester, but then not being able to speak to people, not being able to have an opinion, not being able to sort of go out and sort of talk to people. It was really tricky. It was really, really difficult. Considering the city that you sort of, you know, you've been the first citizen, but also the amount of the people that you know in the city and the people that you've sort of grown up with and sort of been a part of, for that to happen was just devastating. And I know when we had the vigil in Albert Square, but then literally the amount of people that went to Canal Street and round Manchester's Gay Village, because there was still people missing, and obviously Martin at that point was still missing, and people were going out trying to. People were still trying to find Martin, and people were still putting the messages out 24 hours later on the hope that Martin would turn up from just ending up at someone's house or sort of being in a hospital at the worst. I don't think anyone expected what did actually happen.
Confusing times, wasn't it?
Very confusing
and
times.
How do you think Manchester's changed with the year passing by?
I think realistically, I think we've become a really strong city. I think we've become, you know, I say the word united, you know, we do say that. I mean, it is resilience and it is, you know, solidarity there, and I think we've always been really good at that in Manchester. Even when we look at what happened with what happened in Orlando, but for it to happen on our doorstep in our city, and yes, it didn't just have the effect of people in Manchester. It was national. It was across the whole country. And I think one of the things that has been really powerful is the fact that people have realised that as a city that we have embraced everybody. We've embraced, you know, it was never about a culture. It was never about any particular religious sort of ideology. It was about a person that did that. So I think it's just made us stronger. I think it has brought Mancunians and the people across the whole of the UK sort of stronger in that way.